All right, greetings and welcome. It is Thursday, May 15th of 2025. This is the Eccentric Perspective, and I am your host, Blake Wally. I will be here for the next 60 to 90 minutes or so, covering the latest news and current events. Assuming my voice holds up, I don't know what happened. I don't feel sick, but my voice is certainly shot today. I think I can power through, or else I'll just end the show abruptly. I don't know. Without warning, just midstream, perhaps. But I have got a banger of a show lined up. If you can tolerate whatever is happening right now, I might take a cough drop. Got one on standby just in case. But it's great to be here. Great to have you guys along. And if you want to participate in the chat, please do. You are encouraged to jump in, perhaps share some breaking news with the rest of the class. It's always interesting. Perhaps something I've missed, or you can troll me ruthlessly and mercilessly, tease me about my voice, and anything else. It's all fair game. Or maybe I won't post it. It just all depends. But welcome. Okay. Well, let's take a look. This is the thumbnail for today's show. Hard to say if I really have a specific headline. We're just going to go with cover-ups, Zio-Cons, and reparations, as those will be on the agenda for today. Let's take a look at the headline. Well, there we go. We got that little Jake Tapper there parading around his new book. And, well, we'll get to that. And then we have the, is this the end of neoconservatism? And reparations back in the news. It's always a fun one to talk about. And that'll be there. Let's go to the headlines. We're going to try to keep it relatively short and tight. Aim for the 60 minutes, unless we have some extra stuff to talk about. So Jake Tapper, is he capitalizing on his own cover-up? And is the era of neoconservatism, is it coming to an end? And Homan, as in Tom Homan, is he setting the precedent to deport Americans? And people, should they riot if Derek Chauvin is pardoned? It was also a hot topic. And should we pass the Reparations Now to atone for past slavery? And finally, homeless people. Do they belong in prisons or asylums? Well, there we go. That's what we can all look forward to on the other side. I'm going to run an intro, see if I can do something to fix my voice. Unlikely. But, and then we'll see you on the other side. Here we go. There's always this really weird delay from when I get the intro video and it cuts off abruptly. I wish Restream would fix this, but no worries. We're off and running. It's time to get going. Let's take a look at, I guess, what I would call the headline story, although you could plug them in. It's more probably quantity than quality. I don't know. Is there one that stands out? I did miss my show on Tuesday. I had some more car-related issues I had to deal with. It's not a big deal, but we also had to cancel the Toxically Masculine Tuesday with Mike Barra and Steve Doran and Dr. Brooks Agnew. But there wasn't a ton going on. Wasn't anything super important. It's good to have maybe a quieter week, although these are huge stories. So even though there isn't a particular bombshell today, we're gonna dive right in and focus on Jake Tapper here. First of all, the furious Democrats demanding to know who is responsible for covering up Biden's decline. It's out of the Babylon Bee, but perhaps the first place they should look is in the mirror, as they were all involved in the cover up. And but it gets worse as Jake Tapper pushing the cover up, but now is set to capitalize by writing about Biden's decline in his new book. So pretty shameless stuff. So not satire here. So Biden nearly needed a wheelchair, didn't recognize George Clooney. So the president of the United States did not recognize a A-list actor, or formerly A-list. I'm not sure if Clooney does that much anymore, but he turned into a Democrat hacktivist and was not recognized by the commander-in-chief at the time, the puppet-in-chief. But that'll be in the new book. If anybody's gonna go out and read it, I probably won't. Why would I? I've been knew about this for years, and it was bizarre how it was like living in two different realities. With the way that yes, the MAGA crowd or anybody with common sense, or just traditional liberals, you can call it out. We're watching Biden in real time, bumbling, fumbling, stumbling, falling down. Something was wrong, but yet you watch the leftist media, and they would continue to gaslight us. We were crazy. People are just spreading deep fakes. Were we just picking on Biden for no reason? But we could all tell, and they couldn't keep the story going forever, and it led to his unceremonious ending to his one and only term. But yeah, he was pretty old anyway. Probably not the preferred candidate, but he managed to, I guess, get through it somehow, some way. But now the truth is coming out. We're also got to figure out who was actually conducting business on his behalf, because we know he wasn't signing documents and what have you. Not hard at work like they would like you to believe. They were just using him as a puppet to pass whatever legislation they wanted to put forth on the American people. So Biden one fall away from needing a wheelchair and reportedly forgot who actor Clooney was. So CNN propagandist Jake Tapper revealing in a new book, delving into the cover-up of the former Democrat president's mental decline. So he's calling his book Original Sin and giving bombshell spoilers confirming that Democrats were well aware that the ex-president's cognitive faculties were quickly fading. But like a cult, they gathered together to on this narrative that it was all just a conspiracy theory from the Republicans or anybody else. So, one of the things that we were shocked to learn, the White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, talked about if Biden had just one more fall. He certainly saw a few. He fell off his bike. He fell down the stairs at Air Force One, kind of fumbling around on stage after speeches. Several of those. And maybe just one more fall, he could have been in a wheelchair. Poor guy. It's elder abuse. Keep throwing him out there. So he noted that the book cited over 200 interviews with Democratic allies or Democratic insiders. So I don't know if those people were actually on TV perpetuating the myth that he was okay. I don't know. It feels like these people should be held accountable to some way. At least they should have all their credibility destroyed. You would think, like Jake Tapper himself. I mean, just take whatever money you can make on this book, Jake, and then your fucking journalist career is over. Much like we should see with Joe Scarborough, who was trying to tell everybody that Biden was as sharp as he'd ever seen him, sharp as a tack. It's all BS. They just lied and gaslit everybody. And there should be some price to pay. And maybe is this considered ill-gotten gains if you're perpetuating lies? And then now you're going to write a book and pretend like, you're the good guy now. I don't know. Something is wrong with all of that. But let's listen to Fake Jake in his own words promoting his new book here. Here we go.
Jake Tapper here. Alex Thompson from Axios and I wrote a book. It's coming out next Tuesday. It's called Original Sin.
Be honest. How much did Alex Thompson write? Probably most of it.
President Biden's decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again.
But no one's going to buy a book from Alex Thompson, so they put Jake Tapper's name on it. So he probably didn't even write the book either, but he does have, the inside scoop. He's got all of his allies and colleagues. He can go for source material. Here we go. Oh, and now it's going to freeze on me, of course. Well, what are you going to do? I can refresh the page. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Is there anything crucial in there? All right, one more time, Jake.
Jake Tapper here. Alex Thompson from Axios and I wrote a book. It's coming out next Tuesday. It's called Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, its Cover-Up, and his disastrous choice to run again. The book is drawn from more than 200 interviews with mostly Democratic insiders, almost all of them after the election. And one of the things we were shocked to learn, the White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, talked about how if Biden had one more fall, he might actually need to be in a wheelchair. But this was all put off until after the election. They did not want images of Biden in a wheelchair out there. You might recall that.
Yeah, because they knew he was cognitively declined. They knew he could barely move around. They knew he probably needed a wheelchair, but man, they would have absolutely pushed him for re-election if they could have pushed his wheelchair over the finish line, and then they could use him as a puppet for the next 4 years. Don't be fooled by any of that. So they didn't want the optics, because then he would lose. They'd be like, why are we continuing to parade this poor old man around when something's obviously wrong? But if they could have gotten away with it, they would have covered this up for who knows how long. Just shameless, awful people. So, all right, there you go, Jake. Here we go. Here's the fundraiser. This is, I think, where he gets just lost on stage. Like, he has no idea what to do, where to go. Like, people are just clapping, and he is like a deer frozen in the headlights. Here we go. Hey, what am I doing? Why is everybody clapping? Frozen, standing there. Sure. Oh, that's Obama rescuing him there. Otherwise, he'd probably still be standing there. Oh well. All right. Well, that was nice. What a nice moment for all the wrong reasons. But Jake Tapper's he's a victim. He claims that he was duped about Biden's decline. Let's see this.
I'm just curious as to whether or not this kind of trying to hide what was happening with the president at the time had an impact on the press corps. Like, why didn't we hear some of these details from what they actually saw and were dealing with trying to get information?
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book.
Poor Jake, he's a victim. He was lied to. Like, we all knew that we were being, gaslit. And so this is just BS. But I mean, I guess this is what you're gonna say because you don't want to be blamed for it, even though he's absolutely perpetuated this. I would love to know when he actually knew this. And so he's just playing dumb here, selling his book. Shameless Jake.
After the election of 2024, and we spoke with more than 200 people, almost all of whom were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after the election, we found out all of these things that when you looked at what was going on with President Biden at the time, it probably doesn't surprise you the extent to which he was deteriorating. But now we have anecdotes and facts about what was really going on behind the scenes with details.
Now they've assembled it all together and put it in this neat little book. And you can get Jake money. Alrighty, well, let's take a look. Yeah, let's take a flashback to some of the other pundits that were covering this up. Yeah, calling it cheap fakes. That was just amazing. Yeah, the epic level of gaslighting. All right. No, those aren't videos of him stumbling around. That's just MAGA making fake videos. And there's Brian Stelter, poster child for awful journalism. All right. I don't know if does he still have a job? I don't know if he's, I thought CNN took him back, but I don't know if he's actually on the air. You would think he's discredited and he wouldn't dare show his face again on TV, but he just can't help himself. Actually, there's a few of these highlights from CNN.
Other people who were there, and we should note that the Biden White House falsely, when people showed that clip and asked what was going on, said it was a cheap fake. They did this all the time when there was video that seemed to show Biden acting in an odd or unusual, seemingly out of it way. They would call it a cheap fake.
Seemed to show. Wow, we have so many of these. I mean, this is just a few things. There's like there's mountains of montages. But here's just a few.
It was not fake. It was actual video.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, they called us all liars on top of it. It said they're actually faking the videos. That's the level they went to. Oh, no, that's not happening. They're just faking videos. Really?
Of memes and what the White House is calling cheap fakes, which means that there are videos that are being put out on social media and then amplified on conservative media that in some cases are just not right, and in other cases are highly, highly misleading of President Biden. So
that is Dana Bash being misleading. I wonder which ones. I wonder if they could actually pinpoint one video that was actually faked. I mean, there was some like Babylon Bee stuff where they would add, obvious things like, Trump hitting a golf ball that's hitting Biden as he's, going up the stairs for Air Force One as he's stumbling. I mean, there's stuff like that where it was actually obvious, but what major video is actually faked? No, it's amazing to watch the mainstream media come together and cover up the decline. This is a massive political scandal. And if they could have gotten away with it, they would have had him reelected. And they'd still be calling it cheap fakes and conspiracy theories. But now that it's over, now it's safe to say. So, terrible.
It's the question that I started this conversation with is how much to talk about it versus how much to just kind of ignore it, which is a reality. You have a 78-year-old and an 82-year-old, 81-year-old.
But no one had the balls to go against their party or jeopardize their career by dare pointing out the obvious.
And we have lots of examples of both of them. Yeah. Maybe Trump's aren't played as much, but both of them appearing to use your words, lose a step.
I think what the White House and Biden campaign, what they have an issue with is that these outlets are wrapping these videos in very misleading context, right? Saying that this is evidence that Biden was freezing.
Well, Oliver Darcy would know a lot about misleading people.
unable to walk off stage on his own. And that's obviously not the case, but that's how...
Wow. Yep, breathtaking. Oliver Darcy is just a terrible person. Flaming propagandist. There's no shame at all.
Being portrayed in right-wing media, and it plays into this years-long narrative where they have tried to portray Biden as a senile old man, incapable of governing the country, and this is just the latest example.
Yeah, which turned out to be completely true. And now they might actually, at some point, I don't know, undo some of the executive orders or some of the pardons that were issued, because we don't know. He was using an auto pen. We don't actually know what he was doing most of the day. Was he hard at work? Or was he the puppet that we all suspected?
The White House press secretary used the phrase cheap fakes, the idea of cheap fakes. Let me explain what that is to people. We've been worried for years about AI deep fakes, that computer-generated images are going to trick people into believing something that's totally false. Cheap fakes are a little bit simpler. They're cheap. They're just distorted, out of context videos, chopped up in certain ways, constructed in certain ways. That's what we're seeing.
Don't believe the reality you're seeing. You just have to assume it must be a Republican conspiracy to manipulate the video, and it's a cheap fake. Okay, Brian. I guess that's the only way an idiot, a no-talent hack like that is going to get on TV, is if you lie and push the establishment talking points and propaganda. So he made a career on that, but he was such a laughing stock that lost all his credibility and lost his show, and I think that's about end. What a terrible chapter for the mainstream media. Unceremonious ending to CNN, which 20 years ago was a fairly respectable network. Well, anyway, let's keep moving on here. How about this nice post from Glenn Greenwald? Jake Tapper's book tour is the most brazenly fraudulent scam. Tapper today denounces Democrats as disgraceful for their smear campaign against heroic Wall Street Journal reporters who reported on Biden's cognitive decline. So, but it was Tapper who actually smeared the Wall Street Journal for that. Yeah, you got to keep other people in line. So it's terrible that it's come to that. You need a lot more independent media sources and less of these corporately controlled networks sticking together when they shouldn't. Great tweet here from Zink Uger. It's an unbearable that Tapper is now pretending everyone else was at fault for covering up the decline. He was the type of mainstream media anchor who would browbeat anyone who said anything that wasn't sanctioned by the establishment. The derision is the worst part. And here he is in 2020 getting angry at Lara Trump because she called, as we all knew it back then, there's something wrong with Joe Biden. So let's take a look.
I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline. Okay. That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You are this is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out.
Well, yeah, let her speak. No, he is involved in the cover-up. How did he write a book now? I mean, you see this. I mean, this is ill-gotten gains at this point. He was involved in the cover-up, and now he's writing a book, and he's the big hero now. Just awful. You should give all that money back somewhere.
Answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses. Diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed.
Yeah, he's immediately jumping in as the gatekeeper. Like, they all know he's cognitively declined, but as soon as one of their opponents says something, immediately shut it down. They don't want their audience to know that. Total cover-up. So his career in the media should be over. It's like, or, take it or leave it. Either give your ill-gotten gains from your book to somewhere. I don't know. We'll pick a charity. Or, I don't know, your career is over. You make as much money as you can on the book, but I mean, your credibility is shot. You should not be a journalist. I mean, this is not as bad as the Joe Scarborough one, which I don't have in front of me. Those should be career enders. That's when you're clearly a propagandist and you're not there serving the American people by delivering the truth. So, pretty sad and shocking stuff. But there was a fun moment on CNN. I'll just play a quick clip. It's Kevin O'Leary calling Kamala Harris a loser on CNN, and all hell breaks loose. Yeah, we dodged this bullet. Not that we would have been better off. She might not be cognitively declined, but she's got some other problems, which we won't get into right now. But just for the fun on CNN, they're actually kind of building some credibility back because they've got Scott Jennings here, or they'll have some other guests that can actually push back on the leftist insanity, which is good to see. So it's not just a complete echo chamber anymore. That'll definitely help. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever come back as a network, not like they used to be when they just stuck to headline news and actually had some decent journalists that weren't just opinionated hacks. Here we go.
Lastly, there's nothing about Kamala Harris that's a loser. Let's just put it like that.
Oh, I think there is. She lost big time.
You got to.
She lost an election.
The biggest.
All right. Listen, we are not gonna.
And they just love to cut you off right when you're running. You got a good point to make, and they gotta shut you down.
Hold on.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm talking fact. She got slaughtered because they disavowed the process. They anointed her, and she got slaughtered.
They wanted to push Biden again if they could, but then they were going to try to get behind Kamala, who was not, put up there in the process. She did not win a primary, and she did terribly during the first go round in 2020. But then they anointed her as the VP anyway, and she was so terrible of a candidate. She had no chance. She got, as Kevin O'Leary, slaughtered in. Against Trump one-on-one, even though she probably had no reason to be there. And it's sad to say, with the Democrats, she's still considered a front runner of 2028. This party is lost.
That's what happened. We don't have to debate fact. We do not have to debate fact.
Hold on a second, Kevin. Just one point of clarification. She was elected in the 2020 election along with Joe Biden.
Oh, look at that. She was elected. Oh, with Joe Biden. People don't vote for the vice president. Give me a break. They elected her only because she was a woman of color, and they had to pair it up because they didn't want to deal with the old white man. So, anyway.
She was elected in 2020 on the same ticket as Joe Biden. So there's that. We got to leave it there for this conversation.
Oh, yeah. She's trying to keep her job and appease the DNC, their corporate network. Shameless. It's terrible. But this is what passes for news, at least on the left. Keeping everybody in their echo chamber, gaslighting the public, shutting down their opposition so they can't get their point across. They want to wake up the sheep watching the network. Well, anyway, I think that covers that for the headline story. Wow, I really milked that almost. We're almost 30 minutes in. Got a few other stories. Let's jump topics here. So, Jake Tapper, is he capitalizing on his own cover-up? 100%. Okay, so how about next? Let's take a look at the we're roasting the leftists. Now let's roast some neocons here. Is the era of neoconservatism coming to an end? And it certainly seems to be the case. People are really turning on it, and I'm here for it, man. It's been a long time coming. All of the warmongers and these Israel first people, really coming under the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. And so let's take a look. Got Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and Laura Loomer. Well, I could probably really do the Mark Levin impression well today with my voice all messed up. Warning of foreign influence. But get this, no, it's from Qatar or Qatar or whatever we want to call it, because they gifted Donald Trump a nice, sweet airplane, which is cool. I don't know how I feel about that, taking lavish gifts from foreign, because that can kind of compromise some of your decisions. I get that, but there's also the blatant hypocrisy here, because, well, let's point this one out. It's a great picture here from this post here from Sam Husseini. Said, man, I hate it when Qatar tries to buy off our politicians. Just like another foreign country that's, supposedly one of our best allies. Or are they? That's the big question. That's the neoconservatism. And that's who they seem to be. Just a matter of whose interests are they putting forth? Is it ours here in America, or is it another country? Well, that's why we're going to open up this can of worms. So let's get back here. America being targeted by a foreign influence campaign that's buying off our politicians to support the interests of a foreign power. Make sure you're warned. Yes, from Benny Boy and Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, and the culprit, but they think it's Qatar. Even though it's clear Israel and AIPAC sure do buy a lot of influence in DC. Not that I'm picking sides. I don't care. I'm America first, man. So I'm getting sick of all these people trying to beat the war drums, get us involved in conflicts, whether it's in Gaza or Iran or anywhere else. Afghanistan, what a disaster. Iraq, Libya, Syria. Everything we've touched is turned to shit. And it's largely due to these neocons and their influence. So, anyway, they're saying it's indefensible. Oh, here's Brian Stelter again. His stupid opinions continue to haunt us somewhere, saying that it's a bribe, that Trump's plane gift. It could be conceived as a bribe. I'm not, I don't know. What is he supposed to do? Does he take the plane? Do you consider that a security risk, or do you turn it down? It's a weird situation. So they're buying up influence, and it kind of goes both ways. So you have to be skeptical of all of it. So it's a rare break from the cheerleading that typifies MAGA media outlets. Some commentators are using their platforms to urge Trump to change his mind about the highly unusual gift. And others are encouraging Trump voters to consider how they react if a Democrat president hatched the same plan. Fair enough. So I don't know where I stand on this. Maybe he should turn it down. But I don't know. You don't want to see that. And what business dealings are being made behind the scenes that we don't know about? So, but I mean, you've also got to view some of these other pundits with extreme skepticism, especially hypocrites like these three. Here's Ben Shapiro, who's an Israel first pundit. I don't trust at all. And if it was up to him, we'd be into war with Iran right now. We probably already would have preemptively attacked. And he would gladly waive the born in USA requirement for presidency for Bibi Netanyahu if he could. If it was up to Benny Boy, we'd be in war with Iran, and Bibi Netanyahu would be the king of America and Israel. I don't know. So can't trust him. And Mark Levin, who's always screaming about something. Actually, I had a favorable opinion on him for a few years because he's a good constitutional scholar. But yeah, he starts getting into the foreign policy stuff, and especially Israel, and he's just off the rails insane. So let's watch him throw a fit about something or other.
The Middle East is filled with terrorists and terrorist regimes. Americans do not like Iran and the regime that runs it. They're terrorists. They keep threatening to destroy us and our friends, the Israelis. They're trying to get nuclear weapons and put them on intercontinental ballistic missiles. We reject it. I speak for tens of millions of red-blooded Americans.
You speak for yourself. Shut up.
I speak for Christians and Jews and others.
You speak for Jews, not Christians.
Alike. This is the view of the American people. That's
the view of a neoconservative dinosaur.
Number one. Americans hate Hamas.
Okay, that's fair. Everybody should condemn Hamas. No question there. Yeah, there are terrorists. I have no love for Iran or some of these Islamic fundamentalist places. But I'm also pretty skeptical of Zionism and the foreign policy of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu, who I don't trust any more than anyone in Hamas.
We hate terrorists, butchers, Nazis. We hate men that kill babies, that decapitate babies.
Oh, and he's going right into the bullshit talking points about that. And it's awful. What happened on October 7th was a horrible thing. In fact, why don't I just, I was going to get to this tweet a little bit later, but maybe I'll just jump on it right now if I can find it. Here we go. Laura Loomer saying the same thing. Now, I actually like a lot of what she does. She is a relentless journalist. She's always stirring shit up. She does do some good work, but she can also be kind of a flaming narcissist. And she's really off the rails with her support of Zionism as well. She's proud of that and her heritage, and that's okay. But she does say some wacky shit. So here it is. She says, I really hope there is not a recognition of a Palestinian state by the U.S. Recognizing a Palestinian state will send the message that the U.S. will legitimize you if you rape a bunch of young girls at a music festival, murder babies in their cribs in front of their moms while you rape them as their husbands watch, and kidnap Americans and hold them hostage for over a year and a half. If there is a recognition of a Palestinian state, then we can't pretend like we don't negotiate with terrorists anymore. I hope everyone realizes this. This sounds so much like Mark Levin. You're just gaslighting us, and you're making stuff up. Now, it'd be one thing if they could just stick to 10-7. That's a horrible, atrocious thing that happened. Hamas, without even getting into the conspiracy theories of whether Bibi intentionally let their guard down so that they would be invaded, so that they could justify going heavy-handed and wiping out Gaza. I'm not going there, at least I'm not on this broadcast. But the stuff with the mass rapes is bullshit. That there is no evidence of that. Now, there could have been a couple of rapes somewhere. I'm not saying they didn't, but they also came out with the BS narrative that there were 40 beheaded babies, which they provided zero proof, and none of that happened. So why do they need to make this shit up? And I called her out on that. Not that I expect her to respond to that, but here's what I'm saying. October 7th was horrific in itself. But the mass rapes and beheaded babies stories are BS. Why do the Zionist zealots keep lying about this? You don't need to lie. You want to get my support to wipe out Hamas? Cool. The 10-7 attack was terrible. But why do you got to make shit up like we're so stupid that that's gonna trigger us to get involved? They were raping young women in front of their families or whatever. It's just made up shit by Laura Loomer. So shame on her That's disgusting, unnecessary. And to me, it backfires badly because now I'm done. I'm done with the Israel First people. I don't care, Loomer, Benny Boy, Mark Levin, all fucking terrible. So they seem to have their interests with another country more than they do for the citizens of our own. So anyway, where was I? I think, back to Mark Levin. I don't even know if I want to cover anymore from him for now. And of course, you got, Benny Boy Shapiro here. He's always, criticizing or Trump or MAGA or whoever is in the way of Israel and their agenda to wipe out Gaza and Iran. Okay. Anyway, but there seems to be some good news is that the Trump advisor saying to the Washington Post and MAGA where they're not Bibi fans. That's good. We need to make some distance here. That's not to be anti-Semitic. It's not anti-Israel. It's just some of their foreign policy, the things that they're doing in Gaza, really not something that we should be involved in or supporting. And we should not be preemptively striking Iran. Apparently this was something that has caused a rift, perhaps led to the dismissal of Michael Waltz, security, because he was allegedly, cozying up with these neocons and Bibi Netanyahu, trying to push for, escalations with a powerful country with Iran. Yeah, it's run by some fundamentalists, but there are other ways to handle this. And so Trump is going to try to promote peace no matter what. And that's the last thing he wants to do, is to start a foreign conflict. So, and I think that's great that he's showing restraint. And there's a lot of people in MAGA that are worried that Bibi Netanyahu is, puppeteering, or who's running who. How much power does Bibi have? And the AIPAC lobby and what have you. And the Zionists meddling with our affairs. So here's another one. Trump cutting off contact with Netanyahu over manipulation concerns, according to an Israeli reporter. So that's probably good for everybody. Netanyahu is a bad guy. Not seen very... Outside of Fox News and some of the neocons, he's not viewed very favorably by anybody. And here's Netanyahu intensifying the war in Gaza as the White House seeks a ceasefire. He's continuing his genocide via increasing attack. Yeah, tens of thousands of innocent people murdered in Gaza so that they can go after Hamas and perhaps rescue hostages. Although he doesn't seem like he really cares that much about the hostages. He'd rather keep the war going. And that keeps him in power, and it keeps them continuing to take more resources and land away from Palestine, while not recognizing them either. Because here's an interesting thing. Israel warns nations not to recognize Palestine, even though 147 countries already do. So it would be nice to find if there is a way to have a two-state solution, get rid of Hamas, and then kind of over the years, I've kind of suggested on a previous broadcast, maybe we cut down our alliance with Israel over a period of years. And at a certain point, they're on their own. If you want to stay there, it's up to you to provide your own security. We can't come to your rescue every time or get involved in your conflicts when you have issues. Should not be our issue. We've already protected them and provided security for decades. This is not a healthy relationship that we have. It's probably time to reevaluate. And I think, the tide is turning pretty significantly on the neocons. And so speaking of which, let's share a video here from Alex Jones going scorched earth on Mark Levin. Roll clip.
So I don't want to hear it. I speak for the Christians and Jews of America, as I played last hour. I'm Mark Levin, and we don't stand with Al-Qaeda. Well, the hell you don't. Your boss, Netanyahu, literally runs it. He's the last standing neocon with any power.
And there's another thing that allegedly, like going into the conspiracy theories, that Netanyahu was instrumental in kind of helping create this Hamas, creating this radical element that would take over and then use that as an excuse to go after the Gazans. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but there's a lot of this stuff. The point is, this is not a good situation for us, and it's probably that time to start backing up. So anyway, we'll let Alex Jones finish. Brace yourself, because he's gonna go scorched earth and use some profanity. So here we go.
So I don't want to hear it. Stop talking to me like I'm culturally and historically and military illiterate. I'm not, Mark. And Trump is actually pro-Israel, and he understands that Iran is going to blow it off the map, and then Israel's going to blow them off the map, and then Pakistan and India are going to have a nuclear war. In all the war games, we're all dead, you dumb son of a bitch. What the fuck's your problem? You fucking megalomaniac, fuckheads. And that's what Trump's told Netanyahu, a little nicer than that, but not much more, I was told. I mean, we're rational, sane men.
All right. Well, that's a great clip there. Yeah, so it's on. Gloves off. No more of this Israel first bullshit. No more of these neocons. You need to go like the dinosaurs and die off. So we've been pushed too far, and it's enough. So good on that. It's good. So, yeah, I'm looking forward for a long time. I'm a lifelong liberal, and I hate the current leftists, and I've always hated the neocons. Always hated Bush, Cheney, these unjustified wars, Patriot Act, this unholy alliance with Israel. And now I'm going to take great pleasure in the downfall of Benny Boy Shapiro and Mark Levin, and so many of these other people. And, you know, again, I want to like Laura Loomer, but she's picked the wrong side on this issue. And we're also watching, you know, Dave Smith. Comic Dave Smith is absolutely smoking everybody he comes in contact with in the debate. Douglas Murray got trashed. We all saw it on Joe Rogan. He's also had an interview with Tucker Carlson. It's over. The blind support of Israel is done. And you know what? I'm going to give you another controversial one. If Jesus came back to Israel, Bibi Netanyahu would have him imprisoned and probably crucified again. He is not your friend. He is not a friend of the Christian. So that's what I think of that. Otherwise, I don't have any. It's not an anti-Semitic thing. I don't care. We can protect the people of Israel if they want to, you know, leave. I just want to pull this alliance. If they want to stay out there, cool. If you want to come to America, cool. But if you want to stay there, we're done. We're done supporting. We're done giving billions of foreign aid so that you can commit atrocities in Gaza and poke Iran. Done. It's over. The debate's over. But anyway, we'll move on. Okay, I think that's it. Well, there was also word that neoconservatism was finished with some of the speeches, with a speech that Trump made historic in Saudi Arabia, talking about nation builders, neocons, Western interventionists, meddling around in the Middle East, creating conflicts, creating power vacuums. Everything we've touched over there. You get rid of Mubarak in Egypt. Or, you know, we kind of started this mess with Iran back in the day, getting rid of Mossadegh, putting in the Shah, We're getting rid of Saddam, getting rid of Gaddafi, who was a decent guy. Oh, how'd that work out for Syria, getting rid of Assad? And then they fill the vacuum with the worst of these radical jihadis. So it's been a terrible situation. Our foreign policy has been awful for a long time. And I'm looking forward to changing that all around. Yeah, thank you, Jody. Appreciate the praise. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. What are you what you cooking today? And it's a fine Thursday. Curious, but it's good to have you. And anybody else lurking in the background, it's all good. But if you guys want to chime in, throw your thoughts out, maybe find some breaking news, we'll incorporate that into the program. But anywho, we'll move on to the next topic here. What do we got? So it's kind of like the two headline stories, I suppose. But we've also got Tom Homan setting the precedent to deport Americans. Well, I didn't get to the speech, but I mean, it almost feels like it's old news. And hey, Frankie, great to have you too. Trump is being treated like a king. United Arab Emirates, yeah, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. He's out there swinging deals. Yeah, that's great to have that. The Saudis are going to be investing a lot of money. So everyone was freaking out about the tariffs and the trades. And everything has been recovering. And they've got deals on the table. They're warming up with China. There's a lot of good things happening. And Trump has been awesome. I don't know how anybody thinks that we'd somehow be better off if we had Kamala. It's insane. So yeah, they're rolling out the red carpet. There's some great video footage. And had I done a Tuesday show, I probably would have covered more of it. But alas. Mexican lasagna. That sounds pretty good. It's a Texas girl. I love my Tex-Mex, and I loved my time in Austin. I spent a summer there in 2020 during the lockdown. I escaped the lockdown out of LA only to walk into a worse lockdown in Austin. But the good news was when we got all these unemployment benefits, and then I could just do lots of DoorDash and get breakfast tacos or breakfast tacos were phenomenal. I miss those. Texas barbecue, Smoothie King. What else? It was Torchy's tacos. That's gourmet tacos. Good stuff. Oh, and the queso dip. Good time. And Buc-ee's. Going to Buc-ee's and getting brisket. The Texas cheesesteak burritos. Just had some enchiladas last week from Costco. I don't know how the Mexican lasagna is like. It's got to be something similar. So cool. That sounds great. Don't miss the summer heat, but Texas was a great experience. And I do like the food. Do miss those tacos. That's for sure. Alrighty, well, good to hear. Thanks for letting me know there. All right, let's move. What do we got to the next story? Homan setting the precedent to deport Americans. Oh yeah, we won't cover this. As almost old news now with Trump, but he is still making his rounds through the Middle East. It's been quite the trip. So very proud of what he is doing. Okay. So here we go. We've got deportations have only just begun as you've got border czar Homan building teams to ramp up operations in America's interior. So they're getting ready for another big operation. People are concerned that they're not deporting people fast enough. I know they want to kind of start with the violent gang members first, kind of work their way down. Of course, there is a lot of resistance, unfortunately, from the leftists, because these are probably their future voters, as well as get new districts. They can get new people in power and in Congress if they get the populations up. So it's weird seeing them trying to fight and die on this hill, or Abrego Garcia or other people that were never supposed to be here in the first place. They don't seem to care about the citizens here that are struggling. They'd happily give them all benefits to stay put in the United States, give them voting rights, and change the course of this country forever just so they can stay in power. But fortunately, Trump got in. It's kind of our last saving grace here. We got to see if Tom Homan can, push some of these. Maybe they can keep some of the good ones, but a lot of these people should never have come here to begin with. And hello, yes, Frankie, my Dems have been very quiet lately. Might have to have a context there. Or is that the local ones? Yeah, it's got to be really hard to be a Democrat right now, because it's the one side is the leftist cult, and then you've got the old the dinosaurs left, the Pelosi, Schumer people, and then you've got the AOC radical wingnuts. When I'm going to get to one is a new one. Calling for reparations. We're going to get to that. And hey, Deb, great to have you. Just listening in. Thanks for being here. It was fun to have you in chat. Alrighty. Well, okay. Let's run a few clips here. I'm going to get to Tom Homan again with the fake Jake Tapper. This may have been interesting because you're, again, pushing for the truth to get through on the network TV, as much as he might try to shut that down. Okay, yeah, I hear you, Frankie. Yeah, it's the regular Democrats. Are they starting to realize that maybe they were, I want to say they're wrong. I wish they would focus their attention on their media that lied to them. They should feel like they were misled. It's not to just give them a hard time, like, oh, you're so stupid for voting for Kamala. It should be, they should direct their anger towards the people in authority that were gaslighting them for years, misleading them for their own benefit. But yeah, that's good, because yeah, they were on it for a while when the tariffs came in and the economy was tanking. People thought the sky was falling, but I think the market has already made a full recovery from the time that the tariffs went in. So Trump is turning this around, man. He is a deal maker, and he treats this thing like a business, man. We could not pick a better candidate. Really is. He's the right man at the right era. Whether they like him or not, we'll have to warm up and respect him and what he's doing. What he's able to accomplish, and what a boss is going through the Middle East and that Saudi Arabian trip. Could you imagine if that was Biden or Kamala? So we've done well. So hopefully the Democrats will they'll come back. Alrighty. Well, anywho, let's get back. Let's run a couple videos here. So heading into the Lion's Den, border czar Tom Homan talking about the federal agencies working together to increase their deportation operations. Here we go.
Well, we're going to ramp up the number of teams in the interior of the United States. So we're building that teams now. We're going to increase the teams going out. They're coming from various agencies, right? We got about 14,000 officers within ICE between ERO and HSI. We want to pull more of them into this event. Plus, we got other federal agencies. President Trump has all the government on this, so we got ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshals. You know, we got all the DOJ law enforcement entities, plus the State Department. So we're bringing law enforcement officials from all the federal agencies in.
Okay, so it's going to be a team effort.
But are you aware of any such plans to deport individuals to Libya? And again, would that involve only violent undocumented criminals or any undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, there's a rumor that if some of these people don't want to go to their country of origin, they might just be shipped off to Libya. But we're not sure if that's actually true.
I'm not aware of any Libya plan, but I will say we're talking to numerous countries about them taking illegal aliens that their home countries won't accept them. So if their home countries won't accept them, they're a public safety threat and national security threats. We're looking for third safe countries to repatriate them to. So those discussions are ongoing.
Which, if any, other countries are you talking to about regarding shipping undocumented immigrants who are national security threats to?
Until we have a signed agreement, I won't disclose that. I mean, I'm not going to give them credit for something they're not doing yet. So we'll see what countries we get a signed agreement on, then we'll go from there.
Well, you got to send the violent ones to El Salvador and the old CCOT.
What do you say to people who say that this immigration crackdown is also creating, in addition to doing what you want it to do, it's also creating an atmosphere of fear among people who are in the United States legally?
Well, look, we're sending a message. It's not okay to enter this country legally. It is a crime. It's not okay to be in this country legally. It's not okay to hire illegal aliens because you're simply undercutting your competition who hires U.S. citizens. So it's not okay to be in this country legally. But President Trump's been, from the beginning, concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. We don't deport U.S. citizens. If you're a resident alien, you're here on a green card, you have certain rules when you get the resident alien card. You got to obey those rules. You can't violate the law because even resident aliens can be deported if they commit certain felonies or many misdemeanors. There's laws on the books which every resident alien who gets a green card knows what those rules are. So it's a great honor to be in this country, whether it's on a visa or whether you have a green card. Simply follow the rules and don't break the law and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, well said. You know, but the Democrats are trying to twist this as though, they're going to start going after American citizens next, which is just not based in reality at all. So, but this is the battle that they are fighting with AOC in the crossfires. Because, she seems to prefer the illegal aliens, wants to keep them, wants to make a big deal out of this. They stormed an ICE facility in New Jersey. Did not go so well. He tried to bring Abrego Garcia back. Turned out that he was actually a bad guy, involved. He was a wife beater and involved in human trafficking. But this is their battle. It's bizarre.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
What's your response, Mr. Homan?
First of all, you can't intimidate me. Come on, give me a break. You know, I was enforcing it. I was wearing a green uniform, Border Patrol agent, for 5 years before she was even born. I had more than 3 decades enforcing immigration law before she became a member of Congress. I worked for 6 presidents. I've seen policies, I've seen hundreds of policies. Some worked, some didn't. But you can't deny the success of the Trump administration when it comes to border security. Again, the most secure border in the history of this nation. And I said from day one, and she knows this, you can not support ICE. Shame on you. You can support sanctuary cities. Shame on you. But you can't cross the line. You can't knowingly impede ICE law enforcement officers. That is a felony. You can't harbor and conceal, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE. That is a felony. And you certainly can't commit criminal trespass. You know, and as far as New York, her district, this administration has done more to protect her district than she has. The number of criminal aliens we took off the streets of New York made her community much safer. She ought to be thanking the members of this administration, the men and women of ICE, who protect this country and make her community safer. So, you know, it's politics over public safety. It's just ridiculous. She ought to love her community more than she hates Trump, because we're doing a lot to protect our community.
Yeah, there's a lot of good points. I mean, this is the bizarre fight that the Democrats are going after, trying to somehow compare ICE to the Gestapo, like they're secret police, just putting innocent Americans away. No, they're illegal aliens, and a lot of them are criminals. But I guess they see them as their allies and future voters, and they're going to try to twist this and gaslight their constituents into believing that they're deporting, American citizens, and they're not, or they're going to do it next. No, they're not. They're not setting a precedent to give out, to take away due process. I mean, it's insane. But okay, let's take a look at some of the other stories here. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene saying the new border numbers are in. Illegal crossings are down 93%, which is awesome because we still don't have a real good count on how many illegals were let in to begin with. Probably somewhere between 11 and 20 million people. Just never should have happened. Tom Homan also there talking about, obstructing ICE is a felony. You're trying to, harbor illegal immigrants. It's a felony, and we just watched the grand jury has now indicted this Wisconsin judge on obstruction for alleging she helped illegal aliens. This one illegal alien who was on trial evade ICE inside of a courthouse. So, yep, she's gone. Rogue judge hiding illegals from ICE. Why? So dumb. All right, and then what else? We've got. This is the problem with just bringing anybody in here. There's a process for this. People that want to be in your country, that want to live a better life, add value here. Celebrate this. Celebrate their freedom and get a job, provide their family, or provide for their family. This is a country of immigrants, and that's great. But they're just forcing this on so many countries, westernized countries around the world. I mean, what do you have? You're creating a underclass of welfare people. It's not good, just so that they can, vote for the establishment candidates and keep themselves in power. They just don't seem to care, or just vote for, whatever they want that's going to be against the people that were actually native to that culture to begin with. Here is, let's watch. This is a disturbing one. The most honest interview ever. This is a Great Britain news reporter going to a French port where migrants are camping out, waiting to jump onto boats and cross into England. And he interviewed them. Why should the people of England just, give you money and housing and everything for free? So here we go.
Why should English people pay for you to have a house?
Maybe they give me house, they give me anything I can need, they give me.
Just give it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because people in England is perfect.
Oh, so you think we're all rich people?
So this is the quality of people that they want to import into the westernized nations. Now, this would be great if this was a good, hardworking family man who wanted to escape whatever hellhole if he was from, wants to come over, work hard, just have a fair chance at life, making a life, a better life for him and his family. That would be great. Bring him in. Let him buy his own house. But he just thinks it's just a big giveaway. They're just they're ready for entitlements. So these are the kind of people that they're just letting him in, and you're not allowed to criticize it. Or they've got sanctuary cities, sanctuary laws. And they're being treated better than the citizens that are already there. So, thankfully, Trump is putting an end to that in the United States, and hopefully they'll get some better candidates for some of these other countries that are going to have sane policies to prevent more migrants like this. All right, but it's been weird. There's South African immigrants who are refugees escaping, and they actually do want to be here. They're actually having like American flags. They're coming in the right way. This is satirized by the Babylon Bee. Democrats confused by legal immigrants who seem to love America, because that's the way it's supposed to go. Like, man, you wait your whole life to come here, not just sneak through the border and claim asylum and get benefits. So anyway, all right, that's all I've got on that particular issue. So Homan setting a precedent to deport Americans. No. Getting rid of illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, and criminals. That's good. Yeah, our success is because of Trump. He's putting this together because it sure as shit wouldn't be Kamala. That border would be wide open. We'd have how many more millions of people that would be in here? They'd back up the court system forever. It'd be the end of the country. Then they'd be getting voting rights, and you could say goodbye to the country that you used to know, because we'd never be able to vote it back in. Yeah, AOC, I can't believe anyone even takes her seriously. She's so stupid. She's just I don't know how anybody could support that. It's wild. But there she is. She's out jet setting with Bernie, railing about oligarchs from their private jet. Trying to stand up for illegal immigrants. It's weird. All right, let's move on. How about next topic? People should riot if Derek Chauvin is pardoned. Maybe. No. Or should they? Here we go. Well, this is going to be a contentious issue, because this is apparently going to happen. That Minnesota officials bracing for civil unrest following rumors that Trump could pardon Derek Chauvin, convicted in the George Floyd death. So even Governor Walz, Tampon Timmy, is urging city and state officials to get prepared in the event President Trump issues a presidential pardon of former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin. So I don't know when the pardons happen. Isn't that like at the end of his term? Or is that something that could happen like imminently? I think that's probably where I'm confused, is if or when. So has he got to sit on ice for a few more years until he gets that opportunity? It certainly could happen. We're talking about the Minnesota National Guard, Hennepin County Sheriff. They've all been briefed on preparations. So, but I guess Trump has not heard anything about that. So let's run this clip.
Solve the problem. Mr. President, your allies are calling on you to pardon Derek Chauvin. Are you considering pardoning Derek Chauvin?
No, I haven't even heard about it. No. Mr. President, on peace. I haven't heard that.
Solve the problem.
Okay. Well, that could be problematic for certain reasons. And it's really... It's a really unfortunate incident, and there were really bad optics tied to this. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene here again, having backed a pardon of Chauvin, who many say was a wrongfully convicted Democrat scapegoat since medical reports showed he died of a fentanyl overdose. And there seems to be another point of contention. Did he die from injuries suffered from Chauvin having his knee on the back of, I don't know if it was on the neck. The optics looked terrible. And poor George Floyd died, but he did swallow a bag of drugs, perhaps. And it's really hard to say whether he died from the overdose or did he die from having his air restricted. Thing was, is what? It led to, oh my God, just the shitstorm all across the country as people were freaking out that a white officer executed a poor black man on the street, even though it turned out later that George Floyd was no saint. He was a criminal. And Chauvin may have been an asshole of a cop. And just it all came together in this perfect storm. And it looked like he was executed. I don't think that was a reason to riot all over the country. But it happened anyway. People taking knees. Oh, it's just insane the way things happen. And some of the people that they stand up for. So I don't know. Should he get pardoned? I don't know if they can. I don't know if there's anything. I don't think he intentionally did it. There's no way that he intentionally tried to murder him. But because there was a struggle, because he was sitting there with his knee on his back or his neck or whatever, and it played a role. And maybe he died. Maybe he just happened to die of the overdose at that moment. It was not a good situation. And unfortunately, he died. And Chauvin ended up in prison. Half the country burned down. And it was a big mess. So will they pardon him? And will people riot? Probably. Here's a tweet I did not send off. I was about to roast one of the Krasenstein brothers. He's saying if Derek Chauvin is pardoned federally, like rumored, said he honestly wouldn't blame the African American community for wanting to riot. It would be a message of your lives don't matter in this country. Well, he's always putting out terrible opinions. I think somewhat just to get engagement. So I was about to roast him with this tweet. The optics look bad, but it's not conclusive that Derek Chauvin actually killed Floyd. And if that's the case, should we keep an innocent man in prison just so people won't riot over his release? The answer should be no. But I decided before since that tweet has not been sent, it's just in my drafts. Because I was like, wait a second, just in case I don't want to get caught off guard with this, let me consult with Grok and ask him, is it conclusive that Chauvin killed Floyd by literally restricting his ability to breathe? Or was the unfortunate incident more likely a drug overdose caught with bad optics? But there are different reports out there about the autopsy. So one concluded that Floyd's death was a homicide caused by cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement, subdual, restraint, and neck compression. That it could be the primary cause of death was heart and lung failure triggered by the physical restraint applied by the police and the stress of the incident. It's hard to say if he actually died from fentanyl because he was a user. And so while the dose that he had in his system would have killed most people, so they say he must have overdosed because there was enough fentanyl in there to kill a regular person. But if he was a fentanyl addict and he was used to it, he would have a higher tolerance. So it might not have been an actual drug overdose. But what is known is that had there not been a police incident and had Derek Chauvin not been there, then George Floyd would still be alive. He might be, a scumbag, causing petty crimes around Minneapolis, but he'd still be alive. But he was stressed. He didn't want to get arrested. He was freaking out. He was sliding all over the place when they were trying to put him in the back of the squad car, and he ended up getting on the ground. And the whole thing was just a terrible shitstorm. And then Chauvin ended up being the worst person in America and as a thrown into a dungeon. Well, so should they pardon him? I still think they should. I don't think he intentionally tried to kill the man. I don't know if they knew that he had swallowed the drugs, and it was a combination of him laying there on the pavement, the stress of the situation, the drugs, and everything, and unfortunately, he did die. But can you educate the people on this? That's the problem. People react emotionally. They don't use logic. They don't use reason, common sense, critical thinking. They're prepared to just riot before the facts come out, as we saw with Floyd, and, Jacob Blake, and was the guy in St. Louis, Michael Brown. Now, there were some innocent ones. Philandro Castile, Eric Garner in New York. So there are some times where the police go too much. But I think he probably deserves a pardon, but you got to prepare the public for it, because I don't know. Or you leave an innocent man in prison just because you don't want people to riot. That'd be really messed up. I don't know if I agree with that. But what a shit show. Okay. All right, let's continue. Let's move on. Oh, this show went a little bit longer than I thought. So people should riot if Derek Chauvin is pardoned. No. But will you be able to get the leftist media to cover this fairly? And to say, hey, now that we zoom out years later and take a closer look at this, this was an accidental thing. This was an involuntary manslaughter. Poor guy died, but he was a criminal. The other guy's a cop. He doesn't deserve to be behind bars. But good luck with that. All righty. Well, let's take a look at the next topic. Should we pass reparations now to atone for the past slavery? So I'm not, I don't know if I'm familiar with this lady here. We have a new one. All right, what did I do with the article? Here we go. Insanity, Democrat Representative Summer Lee. So I'm not familiar with this one. It's not Jasmine Crockett. It's not AOC. It's not the Who's Who. We have another one. Summer Lee introducing the Reparations Now resolution demanding trillions from U.S. taxpayers for slavery that ended 160 years ago. So she's already, I guess, unrolled this today and demanding trillions of dollars to be handed out to Black Americans in the name of so-called racial justice. Briefing will highlight the urgent need for federal legislative action to address historical and systemic racial injustices. Oh my goodness. So during the event, it says Americans have a moral and legal obligation to pay reparations. She called for the total reconstruction of American society, not to serve all Americans, but to cater to a progressive agenda based on grievance politics. So I don't know. That might go off well with her people, and they might vote for that. But I don't think that's got much of a chance. And people are already criticizing it. It's pretty much the dumbest shit ever. Because we're going to pay reparations to people that were never slaves. Take tax dollars from people who were never slave owners and pay it to people that were never slaves. It makes zero sense. And she wants trillions of dollars. This is what they're going to be. This is what they're doing in Congress. I don't know. That might score some political points somewhere. Like I said, I never heard of her, so I guess this is how she gets famous. I'm sure a lot of people will want to see that. It's just it's not realistic. So, yeah, taking people of zero connections to events happened a century and a half ago. Giving it to people that have never been enslaved is insane. And I think it's going to cost $14 trillion. How does she even calculate something like this? 14 trillion. And then who do you give it to? How do you trace any of this? Oh, we've got some really dumb people in Congress. So I'm trying to think, how could I get in on some of that action? Because I mean, if it's that, or I was trying to ask Grok about Irish slavery, sharecroppers. Because I'm half Irish, right? Would I get reparations? I must have some ancestry that was involved in slaves or sharecroppers or indentured servants, whether in early America or England or something like that. I don't know. Would I vote for it? Would I get excited about it? Yeah, I'd like to get a big check in the mail because some of my ancestors from a couple hundred years ago made a bunch of money and didn't get paid. Yeah, sure, I'll take that check. I guess I can sympathize with it. You can at least ask, but this has no chance of passing. So, anyway, well, that's they're continuing to keep that one alive. Good for them. That would be really hard to trace all that back and determine who gets what. And 14 trillion, give me a break. That's just insane. Okay. Anyway, we'll move on. I got one more topic, right, and then we're done. How about this? Last one. Homeless people. Do they belong in prisons or asylums? If this was a controversial opinion put out by Matt Walsh. His blunt homelessness plan sparking mixed reactions. He stated in a recent tweet that homeless individuals should be placed in prisons, asylums, or perhaps rehab centers. And the reaction was immediate and polarizing. People from the political left condemned the comment as inhumane, and others quietly voiced support, suggesting Walsh was merely saying what we were thinking and unable to say publicly. I know I've talked about this years and years ago, pretty much saying kind of a similar thing. Not that I'm against homeless people. I want to help them. I don't think there's any reason why a civilized society would have people living out on the streets. If that's not inhumane. Now, personally, I'd like to see a lot of the non-violent people, like in prison, like, for marijuana or whatever, they should be released. And they should have like facilities where they can put these homeless people. They should get them off the damn streets and help build their lives together. I'm not saying they should be like, in a prison where they're, monitored in hell like it is now. But if you could get the innocent people that shouldn't be there in the begin with, and you can clear out some of these facilities, that's a great place for them to rebuild their lives. They can commit, they while they're there, they would have, room and board paid for. And not like it wouldn't be like, oh, you're on jail, you're in lockdown. But if you had, it could be an asylum, because a lot of them have mental illnesses. They should be able to get the help they need. And perhaps they can serve society in some way by in just one of these facilities that is perhaps a prison, but just be open. There's just nowhere to go, but at least that keeps them off the street, gives them meals, gives them medical, provides work, and could provide training and getting them back on their feet again, if it's possible. But everybody should be, productive in some kind of way and not just be hanging out on the streets. That's insane to me that we put up with this. So I can kind of back on that. I'm all for prisons for people that are violent criminals that should absolutely be locked away. But there are many people that are probably shouldn't, or they're on heavy-handed sentences, and it should be about rehabilitation, not just, pure punishment. So I'm all in favor of restructuring all that. So I don't think that's that controversial. In fact, I want to dig up old podcasts of mine. I wouldn't even know where to look, but I've covered this stuff before. So I'm all about it. So good things. So yeah, I would get back to that topic. Homeless people belong in prisons or asylums. Not quite, but we're in the ballpark. Not on the streets anymore. I don't want to see people on the end of the highway or on the road begging for cash. There's no reason for that. So, I've been to San Francisco in 2018, and it was like, you're in their territory. Why do we do other countries have this kind of an issue? I don't know. And then why are we bringing illegal immigrants when we've got our own problems? Some of these people are veterans. I think they'd be better off in a facility. I mean, if I would rather be in more of a, not a prison, but just the facility where it's just out of the way. They're safe. I don't know. Teach them new skills. Allow them to build their lives and get back and be regular members of society. So I don't know. I'm all in favor of it. But that's all I've got today. So I don't know, guys. My crazy. Anyway, I don't know. I'm progressive in a certain way, not to be confused with the leftist progressives, like trying to actually make new solutions for things. But I might be a weird one. Well, that's why it's the eccentric perspective. Okay. Well, anyway, it's been delightful, but I think that's the end of my broadcast today. So I do thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe if you like. And I'll do this again next week. I don't know, schedules have been a bit wonky of late, but I'm still going to try to stick to the Tuesday, Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern time. I'm still considering moving to nights or weekends or what have you, but I thank you so much for finding me. Thanks again to Jody and Deb and Frankie, and for all of you lurking out there or listening into the replay. Love you guys, and I will look forward to doing it again next time. All of the controversial news stories. It's been fascinating covering the this weird era of human history if we manage to survive. So good times. Thank you all. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you next time. Take care. I'm out.